everyone. My name is Jacqueline Eric. I am in charge of the SEO program at Pampered Chef. I've been doing SEO for about 15 years. I've been at Pampered Chef for about 3 months. Prior to that, I was with Sears Home Services doing SEO for them. I've been both on agency and in-house side. I've done both B2C and B2B, lead gen, e-commerce, all that kind of fun stuff. And if you're here today at the technical SEO session, it's probably because you are not a developer and that you need other teams to get your technical optimizations done for you. And so what I think we've probably all been in a case where these images probably describe how we have felt about our dev teams at any particular point in time. But it's important to remember that devs are people, right? And more importantly, devs are people who are working on a different set of immediate business priorities. While technology and marketing kind of overlap to a certain extent, it's just a sliver of where we overlap. We work together on digital product and the website, and maybe we share a conversion metric, but technology is also concerned with things like infrastructure and uptime and security and PCI compliance and all the stuff that we don't really pay attention to that makes our websites run, right? And conversely, they don't really understand what the heck we do in marketing either, right? They're like, what do you guys even do all day? Compounding this kind of disconnect is the fact that the business, and I use the business in quotes, treats technology and marketing kind of a little bit differently. Technology is unless you work for like a really awesome tech startup, technology is generally treated as like a money sink, and it's costs that need to be contained. Marketing tends to get away with a little bit, especially digital marketing tends to get away with acting like a profit center just because we're a lot more close to the KPIs and to the revenue. Like we can say we pulled this lever and directly attribute that action to revenue. And so it's a little bit easier to make a case to, increase budgets and things like that. Additionally, even let's say you have the best product team in the whole world that you're working with, they probably roll up to a CTO who's looking at technology as a whole, right? And so when they're looking at the budget and the plan for the year, they're looking at technology as a whole entity where your e-commerce stuff is just a sliver of that. And so there's always going to be kind of a disconnect about like the ultimate goal roll up, even though as a whole, we all care about growing the business and making more money. Additionally, there's this concept of tech debt or technical debt. And what technical debt is the difference between what is best practice and what is actually in production, right? And technical debt can happen even to the best of teams because technical debt can also be a function of time. So even if, let's say with mobile, the explosion of mobile, you built the best-in-class desktop site 2 years ago, now it's out of date because all your users have moved over to mobile. So that's tech debt that you have to deal with, right? A lot of technical SEO is dealing with tech debt. And that's exactly what it is, right? Best practice is optimize website. Anything less than that is tech debt. The business is often not a fan of dealing with tech debt and providing resources to clean that up. So most devs don't want to live with a bunch of, they are as upset about the constraints put on them as we are. And often it's a game of hot potato where they're left with the potato at the very end because they were the last person to touch it, before it goes into production. So one of the things that you can do to get your dev teams on board is to reframe SEO enhancements as not just increasing traffic and revenue, but also as a way to either head off technical debt or to, go back and reduce it and do it right. So another way of getting tech teams on board is to give them the opportunity to shine. A lot of times they end up being the punching bags, and that's not fair because a lot of business decisions have cascaded down by the time it has gotten into production. And so there's some strategies that I've used to kind of get tech teams on board with SEO and to kind of educate them more about SEO too, so it's more top of mind for them. So as they're planning new projects and things, they're also thinking about, does this impact SEO? And I've found that that's been very successful. So one is sharing your channel goals. And you can use dashboards to do that. I've used dashboards to do that in the past. I find that tech teams are actually very data starved around the actual what's going on in the business. They don't have a lot of visibility to that, and that information just traditionally has never really trickled down to them. So sharing that, they're usually very welcoming and open to learning about like what is this impact, business impact of what they're doing. Also, giving them clear direction and requirements is very helpful. Like if you've got a technical issue, be very clear about what the issue is. Did you try to reproduce it? How did you reproduce it? And things like that, rather than, this thing is broken, that isn't very helpful to them. And then finally learn their goals. So what are their KPIs? Like what are they on the hook for? How do they get their bonuses? Understanding what they need to do for that year. Also, you can see what's on the roadmap ahead of time, and then maybe you can kind of get your grubby SEO mitts in there and get some stuff prioritized along with that. So how many of you guys are using Agile? A few of you. How many of you feel that you're using Agile the way it was intended? Much less of you. What I find happens a lot is that business requirements are dictated to dev teams, especially even in an Agile environment. So it's, as an owner, I need a thing because I need it. And that isn't very helpful to the dev teams. And the whole point of Agile development is to give some autonomy to the dev teams so that they can come up with the optimal solution, because we, of course, are not developers, right? So instead of saying, as a business owner, I need canonical URLs so that we increase SEO visibility, which is what it could help do, you may want to frame it up as a search engine bot, I want the rel canonical tag implemented on our product pages so that I only need to index one version of your product pages. And then a dev reading that would go, hold up, so bots are seeing more than one version of our pages? What's going on with our faceted nav? Is there a better way that we could do this? Maybe we do canonicals now, but maybe like there's a future project that we can do to help clean up the way we do our browse or our search. And then you're collaborating. I've also found that dashboards are a very efficient way of communicating with dev teams around results. And the thing about dashboards is you could easily use an incident dashboard. You could weaponize it, right, and just send it to upper management and be like, this is terrible, we need to do something. But you could let it run out to its logical conclusion and also show like, hey, we were able to prioritize a solution to this horrible problem very quickly. And yes, SEO, we know, takes a little while to recover, but when it recovered, it was actually better than where it started. And this particular issue was a very fun technical issue where Googlebot was getting a 403. For those of you that don't know, we were basically forbidding Googlebot. What had happened was we had increased the page speed of our site, and Googlebot was like, hey, I can super crawl this fast. And the server was like, oh my God, we're being attacked. And so shut Googlebot down. And that was a problem for us, obviously, as you can see from this graph. I had suggested we do a 503, which is saying, the content's unavailable, come back in a little bit. Working with the dev team and the security team, we were able to come up with a 429 solution. So it says too many requests. And that actually throttled Googlebot and slowed Googlebot down to like a normal level, like by giving that correct response code from the server. Some other things you can put on your dashboards to share with your dev teams are, traffic and revenue by page group, year-over-year data, delta to plan, your week-over-week keywords. I like to use preferred pages and top pages kind of next to each other. In theory, preferred pages and top pages should be the same. So when they diverge, it usually means that there's some kind of technical issue on your preferred pages, and that that needs to be addressed. Keyword groups, so if you're working on a specific project, like let's say your canonicals for your product pages, You can use keyword groups to, for the products and kind of watch the blended rank change over time. And then, obviously sending these to upper management, but sending these to your dev teams, automatically sends from email. It's like instant kudos, right, in the inbox. So it's great. So in review, working with dev teams, they're part of your team, have them be part of your team, give them the opportunity to shine, give them credit where credit's due. There's plenty of tools in the toolbox to help you do that and get them on board and get them thinking more like SEOs. And hopefully, your attitude will change from what you saw in the beginning to more like this. Thanks.